guys, it's T-Show Productions here, and I'm showing you my top 5 favorite classes on TF2. So, let's get started, shall we? I think the Spy definitely deserves a place in my top 5 favorite classes in TF2 because he's very useful for control points, payload, the game with the Australium. I can't remember which one that's called, but the game with the Australium. He's definitely useful for those 3 game modes. Also for the intelligence, if there's a spy somewhere and he's about sapping sentries to get the intelligence, it's easy to backstab him if you can tell he's a spy. And yeah, the sapper's very useful as well. I don't recommend using the red tape recorder all the time unless you really know how to use it. But the sappers, I think is a greater choice because it completely destroys it rather than just reversing the level of the sentry. So yeah, the spy is really useful. On to number 4. I think the sniper definitely deserves number 4 because of how useful he is as well. He is great for control points and payload as well. Not always. He's also useful for the Australian game. He's not always useful for capture the flag because normally scouts would go for the intelligence more than any other class. So it would be way harder to hit. And plus, you have to be aware of wary of spies around the area because I've played capture the flag on this map, and there were loads of spies, and most of them were disguised as snipers. So yeah, and he's very useful with his sniper rifles. He's really good with those because when maybe in payload, if everybody's over there, or one person's making the cart go and everyone's dying because of maybe a heavy, just wait till you're fully charged and then shoot him in the head to get 450 damage. And yeah, that's really useful. And then at the control points, he's useful for taking out enemies, maybe with meleeing from behind, useful with the triple man shiv because you bleed for 6 seconds, or maybe just shooting them from a sniper point, fully just charging up and shooting people from behind so they don't see them. Hitman's Heatmaker would be a greater choice because it's a silent weapon. They can't hear it, instead of hearing all the time. You know, that was a horrible gun impression, but who cares? And then maybe if you whack them with the triple man shiv, you could pull out Cleaner's Carbine or SMG. I would recommend using Cleaner's Carbine because you get mini crits after you kill a person with it, and that's really good for whacking them with the triple man shiv and then getting loads of crits on the people. That's really useful. So let's go to number 3. I think the Engineer, aka the NG, deserves number 3 on this list because he's really fun to play as. You can use the Wrangler and the wrench or any other wrench that you have and use it to fully upgrade your sentries and use the Wrangler to control it. And he's really useful for control points and the capture the flag, and he's really useful for those games because you can just protect it with fully upgraded sentries or use the gunslinger to make a mini sentry, and yeah, because those build really fast and I don't think they take as much metal. So yeah, and he's just a really good, fun person to play as. Let's go on to number 2. The Heavy definitely deserves number 2 because he's just, well, first of all, he's a Russian beast with a minigun. It just looks so awesome. And he's really good for payload and control points. He's really useful for those 2 game modes because if you have a medic, then he's really useful for being healed and then uber charged to either capture a point or just be on payload and keep the bomb moving, or if you're on the red team, push it back while you're being uber charged. And maybe if you have the Holiday Punch, you'd be lucky to get all the crits and make them all laugh at the payload or at the control points, and then take them out with your minigun or melee them to death. I don't know, but he's a really useful character, especially with a medic by his side. Let's go to number 1. So my favorite class, my top 1 favorite class, is the Scout. The Scout is just a really good character, fun to play as. He's fast, he can double jump, he has the flying guillotine, and he also has the Sandman. Now let me talk about the flying guillotine and the Sandman. Some of you may already know this, and some of you may not. The flying guillotine, when a person is stunned with the Sandman and you throw a flying guillotine at them, I think it does 150 damage. It's a 100% critical hit versus the stunned players. So he's really useful for flying guillotine, and the Sandman, just really useful when it comes to that. And then he's fast. He's useful for control points, the Australian game, capture the flag. Because he's fast, he can run away from targets, and on the control points in Australian, he can just run back and forth and side to side, so it's hard for snipers or spies to hit him, and enemies in general. And then he's got all of these guns and more, probably. And the Soda Popper is great for getting hype and getting all those mini crits. That would be really useful probably for like maybe payload on the red team, because you would expect people to be heavies on payload, and then you'd be hype. Then you could be hyped and use the Soda Popper to kill the heavies and stuff in just maybe 2 hits or a couple more. I'm not sure, because the heavy starts out with 300 health. So yeah. And then if he's with a medic, just take out the medic before they ubercharge. And yeah, the Scout's just a great player to play as, and he's a really useful character, and I definitely recommend using him any day. I played him for like 25 hours total. If you look at your stats. Like, if you look at your stats, you can tell how long you play as, and I played for like 25 hours. He's just an amazing, amazing class. So guys, that was my top 5 favorite classes or best classes on TF2, and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I hope you recommend playing these classes to other people, or I hope I made you want to play as these classes just for certain game modes. If you don't like them, well, okay, that's not my problem. But this is just my top 5. You can tell me what your top 5s are in the comment section below, or just tell me if I missed out on one that is your favorite. So yeah, bye guys.